on? This is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale with your favorite podcast slash video ever in the history of Clash Royale. It's the Broken series. We're back here with my men on the line. Wow, what a weird intro, guys. You think a better YouTuber than me would edit all that out, but nah, I'm just going to upload it just as is. My audience is used to mediocrity. So we have Night Owl. Night, what's up, bro?
Hey, thanks for having me back, Hash.
No problem. Excited to hear about your Ram Rider Nerf idea.
Oh boy!
Now we have Clash with Shane. Shane, what's good, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good myself. Thanks for having me here.
No problem. How's little baby Noah?
Noah's great, man. He's great.
Fantastic, fantastic. And we have legendary Ray. Ray, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Pretty good. I don't have any children, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, a little tearing down the fourth wall for you guys. We're all doing kid talk, preparing for this. Not preparing, yeah. In preparation, we're talking about our children, but little small talk before the video. I like to get my guests nice and calm, you know, ask about their kids and stuff like that. And Ray's like, I feel so left out because I don't have any kids. But hey.
Little does he know.
Oh shoot.
Whoa, Shane knows something we don't know. Anyway, guys, we have each of you have toiled long and hard selecting one card that you've personally painstakingly analyzed and picked out to nerf and to buff. So let's get right to it here. The rest of us will tear you apart while you present the card to the rest of the group. You know, Ray, why don't you go first? It's been a while, man.
Okay.
What is your buff?
My buff? Well, glad you asked. It is the fire spirits.
I knew it.
I know. Every single time I'm on here, fire spirits just need to be buffed. So, okay, so they did get a buff, and I was really happy about that. But then I used them and they sucked, so I wasn't too happy about that. So fire spirits, if you take a look at the stats, I mean, you probably can't find them because they're all the way at the bottom. I'm looking for them right now, and I can't even. There they are. Okay, 1.4% usage rate in grand challenges. Obviously, they're not very powerful, even though this meta is pretty much dominated by Fireball Bait and all those other medium health units. So I feel like what this needs is a buff in terms of like how quickly they jump or like their jump range. Because what's happening is these fire spirits are dying way too easily. So personally, I feel like a buff for fire spirits would just be to increase their jump range.
Question for you before I let the other guys kind of give their take on fire spirits is, as you mentioned, they did get a buff, but do you think that fire spirits should be the only spirit that's 2 elixir and 2 spirits, or should they be regulated to 1 elixir just like electro and heal and ice?
Yeah, see, I did think about that, but then I realized that would not make too much sense for like furnace. I feel like, because I mean, if like a 1 elixir spirit's popping out of the furnace all the time, I feel like that would either call for a major furnace rework or I'm honestly not sure. But if they do rework the fire spirits to 1 spirit and somehow try to change up the furnace, I feel like that could definitely be a good alternative.
So you think that little fire spirit should just jump like immediately, like no delay?
Maybe either that or the jump range. But I feel like they just need to be able to pop into action a little quicker.
Okay, fellas, what do you think about fire spirits? Are you guys on board with that idea?
Yeah, I think fire spirit buff for sure. It's hard to argue against it.
Dude, I kind of like your 1 spirit idea. I kind of think I envision like a fire spirit that's like half the size of a fireball running around there on the map. I think that's an excellent idea, but that would go great with the buff, but then that would also unify it with the rest of the spirits. I think that's a good idea.
What if they made it just a crazy idea here? What if it was still 2 elixir, but still only spawned 1 spirit, but it was like a bigger version of the fire spirit that did like basically fireball damage or something like that?
A fireball spirit.
But it was still like 2 elixir, you know? Just to separate it from the other spirits?
Yeah, I don't know,
crazy?
man.
Too crazy?
I don't think it's too crazy.
It brings back the question of the furnace.
Yeah.
Because it is
maybe just spawns out
that's
1
true,
fire
because they have to
spirit
unify it with the furnace. That's true.
I'll tell you what though, guys. Like I like the electro spirit, right? I like the electro spirit, but like with the electro spirit, it was the first card for me. I've been hearing this in the community for years. I feel like it was the first card for me that was just like, dude, like, do we need kind of new cards? Is this what we needed? You know, not just be critical for critical sake, but it's like, well, it's close enough to an ice spirit, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Like, it doesn't really add a whole unique twist to the
Yeah.
game at all. It's kind of
It's
just like, okay, that's cool. Like, you just throw in existing decks. It doesn't really change much. And it's like, did we really need this? I don't know. It's a cool card. I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, I see
I
that
like
argument.
the Electro Giant much better. Foreshadowing into my selection later on. I like the Electro Giant much better in terms of a card concept, but obviously he sucked. But yeah, I guess not to get too far off the topic at hand here. But the one thing with me though is I'm definitely I don't know. I think that like some of these new cards, just like they're cool, and I like them, but is it necessary? I'm not even gonna level up the Electro Spirit. Like I'm not even sweating it, you know. Anyway, sorry, Ray. What is your nerf? I think everybody can agree with the Fire Spirit buff.
Yeah, so my nerf is actually going to be to the Fisherman. So Fisherman is a card that's just consistently been super duper popular. In fact, like I feel like the popularity of Fisherman has kind of made other cards in this meta become more popular. Cards like the Barb Hut and the Royal Recruits. I feel like a lot of it's become more popular because of the Fisherman. So, Fisherman, for me, I feel like he's just the pulling aspect is what makes him unique. And the last time he was nerfed, they nerfed that pulling part, which is kind of what killed it. So I feel like for him, just a little bit of an HP nerf would probably be the move, because that way he's still like that versatile card that you could play effectively. But then the opponent could also be able to just destroy the Fisherman a lot quicker.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think Fisherman's been like insane these past couple of months. Fisherman's an interesting card because we go back and forth on it all the time. Like 6 months ago, we were like, "Bah, Fisherman, he's so weak," and now we're like, "Nerf Fisherman, he's too strong." But I definitely think there's like a middle ground that can be found. Like halfway between where it is now and where it used to be would be the prime spot for it. But I agree with you for sure. Fisherman Nerf.
Fisherman's tough because I think that the people that know how to play it really well are really good with it. But those people like at mid ladder or lower ladder, or maybe like myself, for example, that tries to play it really can't get it to play like the pros do. So I don't notice it as being too strong ever. So I'm sure you guys are right. It needs a nerf, but I don't feel that.
Bro, you're way better than you give yourself credit for. Just saying that, just for the record, because like you're on my friends list and you're always like slaying it at, you know, you're not like. Yeah, you're not bad. Anyway, just a side note. But okay, so I feel like with Fisherman, it's weird, right? Because I don't feel like he's too strong personally. But
see, that's the feeling I get too. Yeah,
I know, right? But yet he's in like, you know, all the best decks. I feel like, you know.
Yeah, every single top tier deck is just like Fisherman Hunter, right? Always in the
Fisherman Hunter, and then like obviously Royal Giants everywhere too. But I don't feel. I was talking about this before the recording, guys. That like. I don't know, man. Maybe one of my viewers has a better thought on this or a better answer, or maybe Ray has a better rebuttal. But like, I feel like Fisherman, Hunter, and Royal Giant, those three are like ridiculously popular, especially top ladder and in grand challenges. But yet, I can't really say with a straight face that I think they deserve a nerf. Any of them. Independent.
I don't know. It's tough. I think it's the Fisherman though, because like you look before this Fisherman was buffed, RG wasn't being used before that, and the Hunterman wasn't being used. The Hunterman. Hunterman.
Wow.
The 6-man Hunterman.
Yeah.
And the Royal Giant man definitely doesn't.
The Hunter wasn't being used before that, and then they bought the Fisherman, and now all of a sudden it's like Royal Giant Hunter decks everywhere. So I don't know. I like I said before, I think halfway between where it is now and where it was is the best spot for the Fisherman.
All right, sounds like we're kind of even down the middle. Knight and I are kind of like leaning a little bit, maybe no, and Ray and Shane are leaning probably yes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Those are Ray's things. Shane, you're up next, man.
All right, cool. So first card I want to see nerfed is going to be the Barbarian Hut. This is a card that's been dominating the meta, I think, for a while. And it's kind of funny because back in, I believe it was spring this year, they nerfed all of the buildings, the health, and people stopped using the Barb Hut for a bit. And then it kind of just crept its way back into the meta. And my issue with the Barbarian Hut is just how brainless and easy it is to use for how strong of a card it is. I don't think cards that are that like straightforward to use should be as strong as the Barbarian Hut is. You have a defensive tank unit to soak up damage from win conditions. It instantly spawns out Barbarians to defend against win conditions. And then you have the guaranteed value of the Death Barbs as well. Plus, you have the ability to apply pressure with it for basically 4 different uses of one card. I just think the Barb Hut needs a pretty good nerf. I would say just one less wave of Barbarians to give it less value, or a delayed spawn on the initial wave of Barbarians so it isn't able to start immediately defending itself on defense.
Any
Dude,
thoughts
I agree.
on that?
I think any nerf to those huts would be great. Whatever you just said is awesome, Shane.
Yes, thank you.
Because
Agreed.
anytime you
I agree.
nerf a hut, I agree 110%. Because they're just so frustrating. If you can brainlessly drop the hut, and I use Barb Hut. I'll be honest. I'm totally
Dude,
trying to.
Barb
be
Hut's one of my favorite
here.
cards to use.
Oh no, I know. I agree because it's so brainless, and
Yeah,
I can
just
drop
drop
it
it down
in
and you
back,
win,
and it just
right?
does the work for me. And so I agree with you though. I think it needs nerfed as well.
I agree. Right?
Yeah, I really like what you said about the delayed
Thank you.
initial spawn. I think that might be like honestly a really good change because, yeah, a lot of when I play Barb Hut as well, I really like to rely on those initial 2 barbs to do some tankage as well.
Yep.
And I feel like just making that Barb Hut just sit there for a little bit could definitely play a big part in like decreasing its effectiveness.
Yeah, exactly, because the Barbs end up tanking for the Barbarian Hut most of the times anyways, so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
with
so
you
the card
guys. Yeah.
You agree?
Buff?
Buff card is going to be dun 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 dun. Oh, this is going to be a popular choice. The Wizard. I know.
You said like when you're gonna break up with your girlfriend or something. You're like, well, like there was a weird delay. Yeah. Okay, Wizard. Just say
Wizard.
it. Just
Yeah,
own it.
sorry.
Just own it.
Everyone's going to hate me now. So just hear me out before you guys get mad watching this right now. A Wizard is obviously a frustrating card mid-ladder. It's usually over-leveled. But that's more of an over-level issue than it is a Wizard issue. Like, you can't blame Wizard being OP on, like, level 13 players fighting level 10s. That's a whole separate issue. The Wizard itself, like, at equal level gameplay, is one of the lowest win condition cards in the game. It's outperformed by things like Musketeer or E-Wizard. For 5 Elixir, you just don't usually get too much value for it. I want to see the Wizard get reworked down to 4 Elixir, but obviously get a substantial damage nerf as well. That way, it wouldn't be as frustrating to face, hopefully, as well, because it'll deal less damage to whatever you use. As it is right now with the 5 Elixir Wizard, if you don't have an immediate response for it, it destroys your push almost immediately because of the high DPS. However, if you lower the DPS but also lower the Elixir cost to 4, hopefully it wouldn't be as frustrating to face. And you can separate it from the Musketeer with like a bit of a less range and obviously less DPS than the Musketeer. And that way she still has a use case scenario for the longer range, higher DPS, Wizard shorter range, and more of a splash damage card.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been thinking like something similar about the Wizard for a long time. Is if you change it to 4 Elixir, you may have also like the opportunity to make it be more of a substitute for cards like the Baby Dragon and the Skeleton Dragons, because those are super popular. And I feel like there's not really any ground substitutes for the Baby Dragon or the Skeleton Dragons. So I think that may be like a role that the Wizard can fill.
Sweet, cool.
Crap.
Knight.
I was gonna come on and totally like say don't touch the Wizard, but then
You
Ray
talked
was
you
like,
into it.
no, Ray was like, dude, with his sheer logics, like, oh, dude, put him on the ground as a baby D. I'm like, now that makes
You're
sense.
like, oh shoot,
Crap.
shoot.
No,
Ray.
shoot.
Ray agrees
I
with
wanted
him.
to
Crap.
disagree with Shane so badly.
I'm with you though, Knight. I think that like both of those guys made a pretty at first I was like, listen, my big counter argument was gonna be, guys, Halloween's coming up, first of all. And I can buy everything you said, but like, what about the Witch, man? Witch is in a worse spot than Wizard. But with that said, I do agree that maybe making it 4, not a rework, not a buff to the card. Maybe that would make sense.
Yeah. Rework it to 4 Elixir, make it easier to destroy, less frustrating to face, but also more value in a deck, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird though. Again, with the card redundancy that we talked about earlier, right? It's just like, you have Executioner, you got Wizard, you got, Witch, like Magic Archer. You just like, there's a lot of, I don't know, man. And like, who plays Minion Horde anymore?
There's
like,
a crazy idea happened to Wizard. That's just a far-fetched idea. What if they made it super unique where like, instead of just shooting one fireball, what if it lit its target on fire and did like a damage over time effect? Or like set the ground on fire where its fireball hit and did an aerial denial effect or something like that,
A dot, as the kids say. Yes, I agree with you. I think that's actually.
I don't think we have any cards in the game that are dots, do they? Besides poison.
Poison, that's it. Really, right?
I want to see more dot effects.
Me too.
Mechanics.
It's true.
Anything new, man. Anything new.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the key word.
So Wizard buff, Barb Hut Nerf. Ray had a Fire Spirit buff, Fisherman Nerf. Let's take a quick intermission here, guys. And I want to ask you a question that I did not have you guys prepared for. Okay. Have you noticed a change since Seth's been gone in the balance changes? Throwing a hardball at you guys.
I want to say like yes and no. Crickets. I don't know. It was so seamless. I feel like the transition, you know?
It sure was sneaky. I don't think I've noticed a difference though, because I mean, I feel like the game in and of itself is pretty well balanced. I mean, we're nitpicking here. Like, I mean, every time we do these videos, I feel like we're nitpicking. We're just like taking cards down a sliver here, a sliver there, with the exception of brand new cards that are introduced into the game. And so I don't know. I think Seth actually got it to a really good place, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would say the one thing I do notice is like I think Seth had a tendency to do more drastic changes.
Oh, I like that.
I think the new guy was more like a slight nudge here and there, which like I guess both of them have their pros and cons. If you do a slight change and it isn't enough, the meta doesn't change. However, if you do a drastic change, you have a scenario like the Witch or the Executioner of last year. So there's definitely pros and cons to both kind of like styles, I guess.
Good point.
That was a good point there too, Shane. I think that there's some glaring mistakes in Seth's balance changes. Like the Witch was like a huge one, right? And the Executioner too, I believe, like a big rework that was just reverted basically like the next month, you know. But with that being said, there was some big flaws, but at the same time, you know, I do agree that, you know, despite everybody in the world complaining about balance, myself included, I do think that the game was left in a pretty balanced state, and I personally can't tell the difference. You know, maybe placebo, maybe like, oh, now that Seth's gone, it's amazing, or maybe like, oh, now it sucks now that Seth's gone. But either way that you look at it, I do think it's more placebo because especially the last couple of balance changes have been very minimal. It's hard to even say. They were brilliant or not brilliant. It's been like 5 cards, you know?
And the downside to that, I feel like, personally, I feel like the meta hasn't shifted too much over the past 4 months. And it kind of feels like after 4 months, it's kind of like, okay, now we kind of want those big drastic changes. That's the one thing that like people say, like obviously Witch and Executioner were bad. At the same time, I kind of like them for the sense of just how much they change things up.
I did too.
I like being able to go in there and have an Executioner just annihilate things. And, you know, for that first week or 2 week, that was so much fun. Obviously, by, you know, week 4, everyone's like, okay, nerf the Executioner now. We're done with it. But like, you know, it was exciting and fun. And I like that we had those big impactful changes that shifted the meta a lot. So
and let me be clear, like I said that he had a couple big gaffes, but I actually don't have a problem with the big rework to the Executioner in the Witch. I actually just don't like that it was reverted all the way back to where it was, kind of, you know.
Yeah, and then left for so long, right?
Yeah, because now it's just kind of dead again, but you know. But either way, though, I like the ingenuity, I guess, of doing kind of things outside the box and make some big changes. Because you're right, though, like, and that's, you know, I don't know, Ray, like, what's your take on this? Because I feel like, man, Shane made a great point there, right? It's like, yeah, perfectly balanced game, awesome, but then it feels so stale too, right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely like something really that does need to be addressed. And I feel like it's an interesting point where you said like, yeah, the Executioner was buffed for a little bit, and we kind of thought that was enjoyable at first, and that kind of brings about like, could there be like something like seasonal that's just new, like for in terms of like gameplay and stuff like that?
Would you guys like that? I mean, this is outside the box, but like this is honestly like what I feel like the game needs, right? Like we've been the same for a long time, you know. And someone tweeted at me the other day, like you know how like social media and stuff is, but like someone was just like, "Don't listen to Ash because he wants tower abilities," and it's just like, but like, and I get it, like that tower abilities might not be the answer, right? But like, I don't know, man. Like, let's just switch. Like Ray said, like, let's just try out something new. You know,
that one giant game mode that was like, I don't remember when it happened. The
Super Giant
or whatever it's called. Yeah, that game mode. I feel like that was like a step in the right direction in my opinion.
Yeah, dude, I think just anything at this point new is just like, you know, we really enjoy.
Guys, remember back in 2016, guys, when they had the giant tombstones that spawned giant skeletons?
Yeah, for April Fools, that was hilarious.
And mortar that shot out goblin barrels. Like that was so much fun, and like it's okay. No one said this is ruining the competitive integrity of the game. You know, everybody just enjoyed it, and then it was gone, and it was done. You know,
anything new would be welcomed.
Yeah,
agreed. Okay, Knight, that's your cue. What do you got for us?
Okay, easy. Okay, so as far as nerfs go, okay, I'm gonna say my buff because it's gonna be awesome. But as far as nerfs go, Sparky. Okay, I feel like This is the most devastating card when it's left alive with a half sliver of health. I just feel like a reduction to the HP just ever so slightly. Sparky has never, ever in the history of the game received a nerf and only received, I think, 3 buffs throughout its history. And she just needs a little bit of a takedown because, it's just frustrating, especially if you don't have the right cards in your deck. It's the most punishing card to play against.
Dude, she's never received a nerf? You come with fire with those stats there. I didn't know she never had a nerf ever.
Has she? I don't think so. The only reason I know that is because there's a guy, my brother-in-law plays Sparky, and he's played it for the whole duration. He's never changed his deck. It's weird. It's super weird. And the only reason I think I know this is because every time we ever talk Clash Royale, which is once a year, it's always a buff for Sparky, and I don't think that he's ever received any detriment.
Okay. Well, golly, man, I think that Sparky's a pretty solid. I mean, she's the most intimidating and annoying card, but doesn't mean that she needs a nerf, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
I don't know. This is one of those ones that, like, maybe if they did it the right way, we might think like, oh, that's a good idea. Like, she did need to change. But I just worry about them like ruining Sparky. We all remember the days of the trash can on wheels memes. Sparky was really, really bad for the first like several years of her life. And now we're at a spot now where she's very, very strong. So I just worry that they might go too far and destroy her and then have it just be like a weak card again for a long time. But I could definitely see the argument of like her being a frustrating card to deal with if you don't have the response. There's certain decks that when you run them and you face Sparky, you're just like, oh, that's it, that's game. I can't do anything for Sparky. Right? So,
oh yeah, exactly. And that shouldn't be the rock, paper, scissors that we're playing in Clash Royale. You shouldn't have to go into a game, you see one card and you say, well, I might as well turn off my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to hear Ray's thought here, but like I feel like they've indirectly nerfed her like a billion times. The E-Spirit, the E-Dragon, the E-Wiz, like all these E things they keep releasing that counter Sparky, you know? And now the E-Giant, even though he doesn't really even counter her. But like, you know, there's a lot of indirect nerfs, I guess, no? Ray, what say you?
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely something that, like, Sparky's just a card that you either have counters for it or you don't. And I don't know, something about that just doesn't feel too it doesn't feel too fun in my opinion. Sparky's a fun card to play, but like for in my example, for example, I play motorcycle all the time, and so obviously I have the rocket in my deck, and so whenever I face a Sparky, I'll just rocket it out, and like that's it. And for a lot of players, like if they have an E-Drag or if they have an E-Wiz, Sparky's not too big of an issue. So I think that's definitely something that needs to be like covered, like how rock paper scissors it is.
So I guess we're split on this one, 2-2.
Yeah,
right,
that's a tough
Yeah,
one.
it's really tough. I think it might be more of the rock, paper, scissors issue, which I don't think should exist in the game. I think you should be able to overcome any deck, but I don't think it's going to be possible for them to fix that. Sure, let's just land on that.
I have a very unpopular opinion. Then we'll get to your buff, because my unpopular opinion is that like rock paper scissors is a little bit overstated, right? I feel like just when you lose, like how often do you see people be like, "Yo, they had matchup there," you know, like after
Every
they win.
game. You know, every single game.
Yeah.
That's funny because I usually don't even know if I have matchup or not ever.
Well, yeah, but when you lose, people were like, "Oh, they had matchup. They had matchup." You know?
Every
Sure
game.
they did.
Sometimes it's frustrating and very clear when you don't have matchup, but a lot of times it's just like, just because you're running Golem and they have a P.E.K.K.A. doesn't mean you have matchup, you know, or you have a Hog Rider, they have a Goblin Cage, doesn't mean they have you know what I'm saying? But anyway, side rant over. Obviously, there is a thing of having an advantage on certain decks over other decks, but Knight, what do you got? What do you got for a buff, man?
As far as buff, okay, so I'm
Are we gonna hate you even more after this one?
What's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Let's buff the Ramride. No, just kidding. Okay, so I'm looking all the way down the list at card number 95. We're rocking a 3% use rate on ladder. It looks like a really low rating. I'm talking about the E-Golem. The E-Golem right now, the way it sits, I think it's a really hard card to use. I just don't think it's very successful.
The
You okay,
E-Golem?
Night Owl?
You like that lead in? Guys, bear with me, okay? I feel like the only thing that needs to happen with the E-Golem is it does need to have death damage.
Dude!
I think you're
What?
crazy, dude.
Yeah, for
that aired
25
on-
minutes, we
Right
had a
now,
great
but right
video.
now, you see an E-Golem pop, and it does nothing?
Dude,
Are you kidding me?
Those blobs do so much damage.
Dude, are
I
you
get like
kidding
3
me,
blobs in
bro?
your
Are
tower,
you
your tower's
trolling
already
us?
dead.
Are you trolling us?
Sure, they're taking advantage of the tower, sure. But listen, when the E-Golem pops, it needs to pop a little and do some damage. The
You
golem
want that
does it.
3 elixir card to do death damage?
Are you kidding me? Why not? Just a little death damage. It would
It's
be
already
fun.
Here's what I'll give you. You can give it death damage when it pops, but give me elixir when it pops as well. Give me 1 elixir when it goes from the golem form
Fair.
to golemites. Give me 1 elixir when the golemites go into the blobs. And for a total of, what is that? A 7
I'm only
elixir
giving
then?
you 5 elixir. Okay,
No. I want
fair.
7.
Unpopular opinion here, guys. I think Elixir Golem is perfectly balanced and still annoying, but still balanced.
Yeah,
The 95th use rate card. Okay, fine. That's fine.
I think E-Golem's balanced. I think the reason why the use rate on ladder is so low is because it's a card that if you use it wrong, you get punished really bad, and mid-ladder players don't really know how to maximize the effectiveness of the E-Golem. They try and play it too aggressively. Opponent defends it once and then counter pushes and then lose. E-Golem isn't as no skill as people think.
And I feel like
No, I agree. Hey, Shane,
mid-ladder
you
decks-
just brought up a valuable argument there. That's awesome. Thank you.
Let Ray answer.
a lot of mid-ladder decks counter E-Golem too, because they're literally just packing all the splash cards, like
That's
the
true.
Mega Knights and the Wizards and the Bombers.
That's true.
Those are all cards
Yeah, it's true.
that really tear apart E-Golem.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Eagle when the dude's got Minion, Horde, Executioner, Wizard in his deck, right?
Yeah, it's always that's funny.
All right, so wow, E-Golem, you had nobody on your side on that one. It sounds like Ray, you were not supporting E-Golem buff, were you?
I think if anything, I agree with Shane. Like,
Thank you.
Maybe like give like Elixir when it pops like into the 2nd stage or the 3rd stage.
Mhm.
But that would be more of a nerf.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I think probably you should nerf it, not buff it. So I think he disagrees with you. I'll be quick on mine, guys. We have the E-Giant buff, the most obvious card in the... I'm taking the easy pick in here, guys. E-Giant, like I said earlier, is an amazing card. It just clearly needs a huge buff. To me, and this is something I don't think they're even going to do. I don't know why, but I just don't get the impression that this is what they're going to be doing into the card. But for me, like, I like the card. I think everything's cool about the card. But I want his range to be just much, much bigger. And I want him to counter an Inferno Tower. Because, like, that's what he was made for, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird seeing the E-Giant just get melted by the Inferno Tower before it gets there. I don't know.
Almost
I mean,
sad.
At the
he's
same
8
time, though,
elixir,
like you
this
have to
dude.
be able to counter it, right?
Yeah.
If the range is too big, like then you can't drop anything to destroy it without your stuff dying. It becomes a frustrating card to deal with. But I definitely agree with your idea to buff it for sure.
I mean, the other solution here is like something that's been said a billion times and just make it 7 elixir. I think that actually could work fine. You know,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's just you're just not getting enough value out of the card. You know.
Yeah, exactly. The argument for that, like for me, is that like because it is a giant, you want it to inherently feel and play like a giant. Like if you're a giant user, you want to pick it up and have it play similar to the other giants, like the Royal Giant, the Goblin Giant. And right now it plays more like a golem, and it's not an electro golem. So because it is a giant, it should be reduced to 7 elixir and then play and feel similar to the other giants. And also just because the win rates are terrible right now and it needs 7 elixir anyways.
My worry about the card though, Shane, is that I would almost rather it be OP and oppressive at 9 elixir. Like I would almost make its range like God mode radius, because I think if you put it to 7 elixir and you give him a health buff or something, I think he's just going to be just like the freaking Goblin Giant, where he's being used in Sparky decks and that's it. And it's just like another redundant kind of card. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Ray and Knight, what do you guys think?
I mean, obviously, the E-Giant needs a buff. Obviously, I
know, but
I've always been an advocate. Yeah. I think reduce the elixir and increase the range. I think both. I think the card needs to be used. It's brand new in the game. Let's have some fun with it. It frustrates me so bad when they put a card into the game and we can't even use it or have any fun with it. That means, I mean, that's basically another month of the prior month's meta because nothing's changed with the game.
Okay, Ray?
I don't know. I feel like for me, I really like that they made the Electro Giant 8 elixir. I think an 8 elixir, like there aren't any really 8 or 9 elixir cards. And I feel like that dynamic of being 8 elixir, like it definitely comes with like certain expectations that the Electro Giant, like in terms of complexity of like its features, definitely meets, but in terms of like stats, it doesn't. So personally, I like that it's 8 elixir. And I think that they should keep it there and just buff its stats or something.
I could agree with that. Like, I say buff it to 7, but like maybe I'm wrong, and maybe an 8 elixir E-Giant would be really, really cool. But I just think it obviously just needs a massive buff compared to what it is now. And I honestly don't think I don't think fixing the zap scaling issue is going to be enough to bring it into the meta.
We agree there.
I think it's going to need way more health and that zap mechanic fixed, or the extra range, like you were mentioning.
Yeah, give him give him. I agree though with Knight. You know, like it's a new card. Let's enjoy it. Let's see what he has to offer. And if he's a little bit too strong, they'll nerf him next season.
Yeah, exactly. Make it super OP for the first month. Everyone has it boosted anyway, so it's not like people can't use it. Everyone's got it unlocked.
Well, the thing is though, just to counter argument that if you make him super OP, then people get really mad when they nerf the new card. You know?
Yeah, because they invest in it and then they nerf it.
Yeah, but it's on boost. Look, I'm arguing with myself here, but it is on boost, so they're not really investing that much into it. So I guess the boost does make more sense. But anyway,
maybe not like super OP, just like a little OP.
Just strong, viable. All right, so I agree with you though, because like what's worse than getting a brand new card and it being like, yeah, this card really, really, really sucks.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Next or last, I should say, my nerf is going to be, and I think this little fella who just got a nerf. I think this card is actually partially to blame for Royal Giant and Royal Hogs and all the other strong cards that we didn't mention as needing a nerf, and that is the Heal Spirit. I still think Heal Spirit is too strong. I think it's just too much heal on that bad boy. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree, 100%. It's hard to argue with that. It's just simply too strong. It needs another heal amount reduction, 10% less heal, whatever.
Yeah, 10% less. That's not that much, but
that's a lot.
Let's taper him down,
But yeah, no, I agree for sure. And I think it's enabling a lot of different decks in the meta right now. So it'll be a nice shift.
Ooh, easy there, Shane.
It would be a
channel, family-friendly channel.
I said shift, okay?
Family-friendly, yeah. Okay. Any thoughts there on Heal Spirit? Anybody disagree with me?
Oh, shift, yeah. Definitely.
Okay, wait. Well, you disagree? You like the guy the way?
No. Definitely nerf it. Yeah.
Oh,
shift,
okay.
Yeah.
I got the shift out of him.
Got you. Ray, tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah. I completely agree with pretty much all of his points. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I picked a lame one, but I'm curious, guys. Any cards that we didn't mention before we end things off here that you guys have a really big problem with now that we've had this conversation, or do we pretty much cover the problem cards, the issue cards? I mean, Elite Barbers we don't mention because at this point they're just a meme, right?
Yeah, I agree.
They'll
Same
always
with
be
Expo.
the worst card. Ooh, no one talked about Expo. Let's end on that note. No one here talked about Expo. It was on nobody's list. Usually it's on Shane's list.
Well, it's just plain annoying. It's almost gotten to the point where even talking about it's annoying. So why is it still flipping at the top? Go look right now, Ash. The top 5 decks. I bet you 3 out of 5 of them are playing Expo.
What are you, Molt? Are you gaming with Molt right now?
I'm just saying. I would just bet you because
I feel like this is Molt's, and I love you guys know I love Molt, but I feel like, and I agree with a lot of the things he says too. But I feel like he tweets this once a month. He's like the same 5 decks at the top of the ladder.
Fair enough. I mean, fair enough. But there is also truth to whatever he's saying.
No, I agree. So that goes back to the whole argument of things being stale because they are too balanced. But I don't know.
Yeah,
is anybody on this call right now for an Expo nerf?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Ray says yes.
I'm undecided.
He just disconnected. He says yes.
No, yeah. I'm also.
He just texted the message. It says yes.
Plays Expo, so
he's biased. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can see it. Yeah. I'll agree. I play Expo, and Expo's annoying to face. I will agree. When I face Expo, even when I'm using Expo, I'll say they're so annoying. Why are they using Expo?
No, it's not annoying. It's boring to face almost.
That's the thing. Boring, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Night Owl. Once the E-Golem's death damage one-shots the Expo, you'll be happy, right?
Thank goodness for that, Buff.
I think that hey, when they do buff the E-Giant, and if it does have a 10% popularity instead of a 0.01% popularity, I think that might be a step in the right direction for a very indirect nerf to Expo. What do you guys think? Is that enough, or do you guys need
No,
a
I don't think that'd be enough. I think Expo's one of the cards that just survives anything. People say oh, Expo's got all these hard matches, and yeah, it does, but that doesn't fix the issue of the card that's boring to face against. Even if you have an E-Giant, it's still boring to face against.
Yeah, Expo players will definitely be able to overcome that.
It's Expo defense, which is the real issue, right?
Yeah, it's just that it lasts too long indeed. 40 seconds. It's the only card in the game that lasts. The only ability lasts 40 seconds still.
Yeah, to me, that's the only frustrating part about Expo. I get no frustration out of an offensive Expo at all.
No.
It's cool, but and when it locks onto your tower and does a ton of damage, doesn't even bother me, even with low HP. What bothers me is that an Expo player, and they all seem to be really good too, right?
Yeah.
An Expo player, they can just sit back on their laurels and just be like, yep, Just gonna play only defensive Expos and Tesla. Good luck breaking through, bro. And I'll spell
Exactly.
cycle you to death, you know?
Yeah.
I think I could definitely get behind like the lifetime, like nerfing that.
Like more damage but less lifetime?
Not necessarily more damage, but just
Yeah,
less
just less
lifetime.
lifetime.
Just
Straight up.
Just delete the card.
Just delete the card. Got you. All right, well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap on that note. I can't wait till my viewers tear us all apart in the comments below. We always look forward to that. I can count on at least one of you guys, usually more than one, the next day after these videos get released, sharing like, oh, this guy loves me. It's like just basically tearing us apart, like I said. But in all sincerity, all jokes aside, guys, 3 fantastic YouTubers here on the line. Hopefully you're subscribed to all of them. If not, Legendary Ray, Night Owl, and Clash Roshan's YouTube and Twitter informations will all be listed in the show notes below. It would be really awesome if you guys could support my guests because it helps support me in turn. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the channel. As always, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks, Ash. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. I got to vamp for a minute here until this replay runs out. So, guys, make sure you check out the player stats and profile of me if you want to see my disgustingly low win rates in all my battles. And, of course, a huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. You can check out his information in the description below as well. And, yeah, thank you for using creator code CWA. I got 10 seconds left here. And with that, guys, as always, take care, guys.